Okay guys, here's the conversion I did to the Focke-Wulf FW-190, the FMS Focke-Wulf. And I originally had the Mr. RCSounds version 2 sound unit in this with just one speaker. I just finished converting this over to his new V4, which is outstanding. Gave me a little more options, some different sounds, but I wanted to show you that before I did the sound video on this. Originally, this is what it had in it right here. That's the units for the V2. Got the sound unit here. Let's see, the gun card, the sound unit, amplifier, and the voltage regulator here. Those were all the components that were in the V2, which is actually a really nice system. I'm going to put that in one of my other airplanes here. And I converted it over to his new V4, and much cleaner installation. We'll open the hood here and let you take a look. I posted some pictures of this earlier, but here now we just have one card. That's all there is, just one card. Originally I had those units that I just videotaped mounted in these locations with a mess of wiring going up through here. This is actually a really good airplane for the sound mod because there's lots of room under the hood here, and it needs the nose weight anyway. This airplane needs the nose weight up front anyway. As a matter of fact, even with the extra speaker, because I did install a second speaker in this, where I used to just have one, it was still tail heavy, and with a 4,000 milliamp battery in here, and the sound unit like I've got it set up right now, it's a perfect level CG balance. But anyway, I have all the options on here set up here. He's got the four outputs, servos 1, 2, 3, and 4, servo being 1 being the throttle. Now then, I also was using mixing on this one when I had it on the V2 in order to sync my throttle. But with the new V4 card, I could simply Y it. I simply Y'd it off the throttle, which freed up a channel that I could now use for one of the aux sounds. And I have two of them wired in right now since I only have an 8-channel receiver. But I went ahead and got the pigtail on here and the wires in here if I upgrade the receiver later, that I can add the other 4 sounds. The cannon sound is the one that I'm not using right now. So I've chose to use the machine guns and the dive siren. This is the diameter bends I have selected, and instead of 4 model airplane like there was on the V2, I now have 6 airplanes to choose from, even though I really only want the 1 or 2 that are on here. And we'll upgrade later on when Andrew gets through doing sound modules right here. Anyway, there it is. That's what's under the hood, and it made a much nicer installation. And I can also simply unplug it by unplugging my JST connectors here. Speakers 1, speaker 2, and then the power connection right there, which is a tap off of the battery lead. I actually have 2 of these on here. One for the external BEC and one to run power to the card. And I tap straight off the battery. It doesn't affect the flight times that much from the original at all. A couple seconds, 30 seconds or so is my estimate. A minute at best, running it at full power, is all we're going to lose in flight time. So now anyway, I'll close this thing down here in a minute here, and we'll get some video of what it actually sounds like when it's all up and running. Get my transmitter here. And let's get the camera up here on the tripod. And I have the same thing rigged up for the ME-109, which you see right below it there on my stand. That's actually my transport stand that I can take the planes in my pickup back and forth to the field. I can actually carry 6 airplanes on that in their state, and then a couple fuselages on the bottom to the wings and the side cradle. Really nice unit, plus it serves as a work stand. So now we'll plug it in. push the red button.
Airplane.
6.
Airplane.
1.
Airplane.
2.
Airplane.
3.
Airplane.
4.
Now then, there's airplane 4, the diameter bends. And strap her down here. This one's a little more powerful than the Stuka I had up here earlier, so I'm not sure if I'll take this one a full power walk back around there a minute ago. But anyway, we'll start her up here. First I'll walk through the sounds here, but I've got first sound 1 is the machine guns. And I'll do one more thing here that I forgot to do. I had the volume turned down on it because I was working on it last night. So, and I keep the handy tool right under the hood. Let's crank the volume up since the volume knob is right there. Put my snap tool back up in there. Snap the hood back down. And let's try that again. Guns. Big difference, huh? Dive siren to go with it. Now then, let's fire it up here. That's simply wide off the throttle channel. Not have to do any of the extra mixing in order to sync the throttle with the sound, which is pretty common with most sound systems in order to sync their endpoints. A simple wide channel. I've had about 2 or 3 airplanes that I've done so far that it was just that nice. That way it frees up your extra channel so that you can actually use it for the extra aux sounds, since on the V4 now you actually have 3 aux sounds to choose from instead of the, actually it was 2 on the original versions 1, 2, and 3, selectable by a jumper switch, but you had to move around. But anyway, there you go, and I'll take this back off here and kind of show you where I did the speaker installation. Camera wants to cooperate with me here. Trying to keep this from shaking around too much here. I'll unstrap her here one more time. Battery strap's trying to give me a hard time there. And we'll go ahead and unplug her here. Well, the hatches are kind of giving me a hard time here. I've got it really nice and tight. And I'll go ahead and get the airplane unplugged. And we'll take a look at the bottom here. Now then, let's see if I can get her all flipped over and upside down here. This has actually been one of the best work stands that I made for quite a while. I've done a few of them. Even my wooden transport stand there. Okay, originally I just had this one speaker. Now this is the original speaker from the version 2 that's Andrew's speaker, and it's actually still mounted in the red casing, and this screen is actually glued to this part right here, which is the wing bolt down. So when I take this off, it comes off, and then half of the speakers in one wing and half the speakers in the other wing, and it stays attached to, forget which half of the wing, whether it's the left or the right. Then I added this second speaker up here in the nose for the V4, which actually I needed the extra weight anyway, so it worked out just nice. Now this speaker I have mounted in a wooden box that's glued in, and then I'm using metal mesh screen that's actually attached with screws so that I can take it off, and the speaker is screwed in so I can take it out should I need to service it or repair it. That's not the case with this one. If something goes wrong there, I have to kind of cut and gut the whole thing out and then replace the whole thing. I kind of like this idea much better. It makes it easier should a speaker blow, and that possibility is there. The chances are probably unlikely as long as you take good care of your system and follow Andrew's directions from Mr. RCSounds. Shouldn't have any problem, and the life of the speaker should last forever, but you never know. Things happen. Anyway, there she is with the sound and the version 4 mod that I originally had a version 2 in, the FMS-190. Next plane I'll be doing is taking my big beautiful doll right there, which also has a V2 unit in it and one speaker mounted right underneath the chin there, underneath the exhaust stacks, and I'll be adding a second speaker back in the scoop like I did with the P51B, and getting that all rigged up for the version 4 mod as well, with the final airplane being the Jap Zero, which I've already dug out, and getting ready to mod it. I don't have any sound system in that plane yet, and it'll be the first one to go in that one, and I'm figuring out right now how I'm going to lay out the speakers and the radio installation for the sound card in it. Again, there's the FMS-190 with sound, and I'll flip this back over and we'll do this one more time, and I'll give it power up and run it and run through some of the sounds. Let's get this camera back up on the tripod. Get the plane flipped back over on its belly. Plug back in. I can actually change out this sound card in between airplanes with the way I've got it rigged up in about 2 minutes. To unplug it and plug it into the new airplane, select the new file, get everything hooked up. It takes me about 2 to 3 minutes.
Airplane.
4.
Airplane.
4.
Sometimes when you initially power it up after you've turned it off, if the switches are not in the right position, one of the sounds may play. Just a simple reboot on the power will usually stop that from happening like you just saw me do there. It gets an initial spark there. But anyway, let's run this up again and give it one more listen. Start up. Let it run through its idle sequence. kind of missed my shutdown sequence there and had to recycle it real quick there. But there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll put up some more later as I get them done. Have a great one and happy flying to everybody.